Hi,
Hi Stacey, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm looking forward to answering some good questions again.
Okay, yeah, we've got a few different questions this week.
Oh,
Our
good.
one is from Susan Derman. This one's a bit long, so bear with me. But she says, can you tell me a little about your equine calcified plus? What's in it and the best time, method and requirements for spreading? And does it need rain just after spreading? And then I can repeat this. Can horses and sheep be in the paddock, or do they need to be withdrawn for a period? Does it cope well with our now dry summers?
Gosh, yes, there's plenty there, isn't there? The equine calcified plus is made from limestone and seaweed, so it's a completely natural product, and it's been formed into granules that can be spread by hand or with a fertilizer spinner. So it's adaptable in that way. It's best to go on at any time of the year, but when the grass is short, because the whole point of it is to condition the soil, not to feed the plants directly. So if the grass is short and it makes contact with the soil, that's good. Obviously, rain is good because that helps to wash it in. But if we haven't got rain, we can't make rain, but we can still put it on. What we sometimes forget is that even in this hot weather, there's often quite a heavy dew. Now, not many of us are going to be trotting out between 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning to see how heavy the dew is, but this will help the little granules to break down and get into the soil. It's not in any way toxic, so if you've got no other option, yes, your horses and sheep can still go out there, but if you can keep them off for 6 weeks or so, that lets the equine calcified plus get into the soil and start doing some good. So yes, it's best if you can keep them off. It's best if it does have rain, but if not, well, we have to cope. So have I missed anything out? That was quite a long question.
I think the only thing is spreading. So because it's non-toxic, can it be spread by hand?
Yes, it can be spread by hand. It's quite abrasive, so if you haven't got gloves on, you'll find that your fingernails get worn out. So I would suggest that you put some leather gloves on just so your fingernails don't get worn away to nothing. But it's not harmful.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Good question, Matt. Yeah.
Okay, and our next question is from Charlotte, who asks, should I still be feeding my horse a feed even though he has loads of grass?
Yeah, I mean, feeding isn't always about nutrition. Sometimes it's a good idea to give the horses a small feed each day, just to be nice to them, to encourage them to come to you, to enable you to check that they're healthy and everything else. But they won't need a lot if there's good grass. The grass will provide their basic nutrition. But just a little token feed, perhaps with some total eclipse in it, to top up on omega-3 and some minerals, that will be good. So yeah, it's not really necessary, but it can be a good thing.
Perfect, thank you, Jane. And I know there are also a lot of people with the opposite problem of limited grazing, particularly with the dry weather at the moment. What would you recommend for those with limited grass?
Yeah, I mean, those horses are going to need feeding if they're not getting enough bulk going through their system. It's very, very difficult to monitor how much the horse is eating when they're at grass, and it is growing, albeit slowly, but all that growth is going down their necks. But what we can do is monitor their output. So the horses' droppings will give us a guide as to whether they're actually getting enough bulk from the grazing. So if the droppings start looking a bit small and dry, and when the pile lands, the little boluses all roll apart in different directions, we know there's not enough bulk going through. If there's the right number, which would be in excess of 12 piles per horse per day, and they're formed, so you can see boluses, but they hold together, and the horses are passing them easily enough, then they're probably getting enough bulk, even though you might look at the pasture and think, well, there's nothing there. There's nothing there because it's inside the horse. If the droppings do get a bit small and dry, then you've got to top them up on some additional forage, and usually that would be hay or soaked hay care. Soaked pura beet, you can use plenty of that. That will help to give them some extra bulk and is economical. But basically any of the simple system forage feeds will be ideal to give them a bit extra.
Perfect, thank you, Jane. And we've also had a lot of questions on salt recently. Firstly, if a horse has one of our simple system salt lick tubs, would it still need additional salt in its feed?
Yeah, it's a very good question, especially in hot weather, and now we're able to ride a bit more as well. If the horse is using his salt lick, then the chances are that he will be topping himself up enough. But if he's sweating freely in his work and he's not using his salt lick, then it might be an idea to add salt to the feed. And if I get back to competing again, you don't really want to be lugging a salt lick around to your competitions. And then the best way of topping them up on salt is to offer them salted water alongside their plain water. And my experience is that if they need the salt, they will drink the salted water. I use a different colour bucket so I can tell the difference. Horses don't have the same colour vision and range that we do, but they've got a much better sense of smell. So they'll know which one's got the salted water in. The simple system summer salt is a really good one, and there's a handy measure in there. 1.5 of those measures to a standard stable bucket will enable you to top up on the salt without actually making it worse by dehydrating them with too much salt. So it's a matter of judgment, really. But for normal work, the horses will regulate themselves on their salt lick.
That's great. Thank you, Jane. And our last question today is from Catherine, who got in touch asking how she should go forward with her paddock that she reseeded using the simple system natural grazing mix.
Oh, right. Well, hopefully that's beginning to grow nicely now. I remember talking to Catherine, and she was very fortunate in getting her seed down when it rained. So the rain did wash some of the seed along a bit, so there are some gaps. If at all possible, if you can leave your reseeded field until the middle of July or so, then by then the grass that you paid a lot of money for will have seeded. So those seeds dropping out will give you a second helping for free. So, and it will also enable the grass and the sandfoin and bird's foot trefoil in there as well. Will enable that to get its roots down and get a good start. And then after it's seeded, you can either cut it to make hay, or you can use it for late summer and autumn grazing. And by then it'll be stalky, it'll be high in fibre, it won't be quite so nutritious, and the plants are established. You're not going to kill them off by tramping on them. And any gaps hopefully will have been filled in by the grass reseeding itself. So that was what I discussed with Catherine. That quite a lot of people have reseeded this year, and yeah. It's not always been easy with such dry weather.
No. And just for those who don't know about our natural grazing mix, could you tell us a bit about that? How much can you top up with that? How far does one bag go?
Yeah, that one bag will reseed 1 acre from bare earth. It'll top up to 4 or even 5 acres. But if it's had a fairly good caning, then 2 or 3 acres as top up. And it's got about 10 different types of native type grasses. We don't use any ryegrass in it at all because ryegrass can be associated with obesity problems. So wild grasses that grow in different ways. So some are drought tolerant, some send out runners and fill in gaps. So they cover a wide range of possibilities. And there's bird's foot trefoil and sandfoin there, which are deep rooting herbs, and they also contain condensed tannins, which are very good for the horse. So yeah, it's really, really good mix, specifically put together for our lovely horses to enjoy and thrive on.
Perfect. Thank you, Jane. And that's it this week.
Oh, short and sweet. But hopefully we'll get lots more questions next week as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Jane. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Stacey. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.